Hey everyone, welcome back to the Glass Seats podcast. This is where two hockey aficionados discuss their perspectives on headlines surrounding the NHL, including recent stories, game highlights, league culture, and other topics trending amongst the fans. This is Viddy.
And my name is Mrinal, and this week in hockey, the Vegas Golden Knights are Stanley Cup champs, baby. More importantly, you called it perfectly. Vegas champs in 5 games. How are you feeling?
I got every single Vegas series right except the Dallas one. And then when I knew when they went down 3-0, I was like, this is done in
after
the 5 or 6.
After the Jamie Benn fiasco?
Yeah, and I was 5 or 6, and I was like, wow, all right. I am right about the one team I wish I was wrong about. So
can't let your Sharks bias show this early in the podcast, man. We're only a minute in.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone outside of Vegas fans are happy about this. I mean, I was like scrolling all over, Instagram, seeing reactions to this. So, have you seen like in the Cup Finals, they make those maps of which geographical region is rooting for who?
Yeah.
And it was like, except for maybe like Toronto, Boston, and Carolina, that everyone was rooting for the Panthers. And I was like, I think that's really true this year because of, one, the reputation that Vegas has established, and two, everyone wanted Florida to complete that Cinderella story. But Vegas was on a mission. As much as I don't like this result, gotta hand it to them. They deserved it.
Oh, absolutely deserved. They played like champions. They played really, really well. We'll get into the games just in a second here, but like from what you were saying on like who's rooting for who, I think Vegas has really embraced being the big bad empire of the league, and hey, they won a championship. Yeah. Can you fault them? Doesn't really matter now, does it?
It's funny that you mentioned that because when I was just thinking about this earlier, I was like, this really reminds me of the end of Infinity War, where Thanos wins, you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly...
Vegas collected all the Infinity Stones?
Essentially, I was like, and they even set, like I saw on ESPN earlier today, that they set a record for most goals scored in a cup-winning clinching round.
Yeah, that last game, they
9-3,
beat down.
9-2, 9-3, something like that, yeah.
Just to give a quick summary, if any of you guys didn't watch the games or wanted to catch up here, last podcast was game 3 was going on while we were recording, and we were giving you updates. It was 2-1 when the podcast ended recording. Florida ended up tying and winning that game, tying it and then winning it in overtime. So they made the series 2-1 at that point. In game 4, Vegas came out hard, took a 3-0 lead, but Florida fought back, made it 3-2, and just missed tying it in the dying seconds. Adin Hill saves Matt Tkachuk's shot to deny them the win, makes the series 3-1. Game 5 back in Vegas, Vegas absolutely blows them out, blows out Florida to win the cup.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. Other notable things that happened, Jonathan Marchessault won the Conn Smythe as the MVP. Yeah, we'll get into that. And Matt Tkachuk ended up not playing in the final game due to injury. That came out later. It was our fractured sternum. So all big things that happened. Why don't you just start with your overall thoughts on those last 3 games?
I mean, absolute domination by Vegas. And again, I don't think there was any malice or any hostile injury kind of thing. I really think the Matthew Tkachuk hit or injury was more or less accidental. Yeah,
it was a hard hockey play. It was a clean hit, and it was kind of expected in the sense Matt Tkachuk had just laid a big hit on Jack Eichel. Yeah. Again, clean hit. Yeah. But Eichel had to go to the dressing room. Yeah. And then Vegas hit him back. Clean hit, but he got hurt.
Yeah. We were also just talking about how, the last podcast, how Vegas isn't afraid to throw around the body too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Matthew Tkachuk found out. Yeah. So let's not get it twisted. Vegas completely outplayed every single aspect, and they didn't, regardless of what you think, the refs, whatever. I think they really did earn this one. There's nothing you can really hate on this for. The only thing that I didn't really agree with is Jonathan Marchessault winning Conn Smythe. Without Adin Hill, this team would have been done a round ago.
There were so many players that could have gotten it. Adin Hill was great. Jack Eichel was great. Alex Pietrangelo was great. Mark Stone, but I think you could have picked almost anyone there. I don't have any problem with Marchessault. I mean, I think Marchessault had the best, most big moments. If I think back to this run by Vegas and I remember specific goals, it's usually a Marchessault goal.
Right, but I don't even think Vegas makes the finals if Adin Hill's not in net. That's the problem.
True. And even in this game, absolute robbery from, I think it was Verhaeghe and Bennett. Yeah. There were so many goals Florida could have scored, and the Hill was just there.
Yeah. In game 1, he made that again, we talked about this last podcast too, the save, or his
Mm-hmm.
version of the save. And I mean, not saying that, that Florida was ever going to come back from that or anything like that, but still, that's a huge save to make at any point of the playoffs. And I don't know. I don't think, I think Hill should have won the Conn Smythe, but whatever happened. So
Yeah. Can I talk a little bit here about what happened with Florida? I think that long break that we talked about between the Carolina series and the Vegas series for them really did them in.
Yeah.
So if you look at Florida's Cinderella run, they were running off of two things, right? One, awesome play by Sergei Bobrovsky, just stopping everything. It was a brick wall in net.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, clutch moments from Matthew Tkachuk.
Yes.
So what happened with that break was, Bobrovsky kind of lost that momentum. So the first couple games, Bobrovsky really wasn't what he looked like in Carolina.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he got the momentum back and started heating up, Matt Tkachuk got injured.
Yeah.
So that hit that we were talking about where Matt Tkachuk took was from Keegan Kolesar in game 3. He ended up leaving that game and then returned later for limited time, played limited time in game 4, and then just couldn't do it for game 5.
Yeah.
And then we found out after everything was over, it was a fractured sternum, which, makes sense. And for those of you who don't know, the sternum is the thing that holds your lungs in.
Yeah.
Kind of important for a hockey player.
Yeah, kind of a serious injury, yeah.
Yeah, it's reminding me of 2011 that Bergeron was playing with a punctured lung?
Oh, wow, I don't remember that. Yeah,
there was one playoff series for the Boston Bruins where Bergeron played with a punctured lung. And that was what it was kind of reminding me of, like insane amounts of injuries. The fact that he played at all in the rest of game 3 and game 4 is insane.
I really don't like the response that he got. I mean, again, Matthew Tkachuk has no problem being the villain himself. Yeah. But everyone was like, oh, that's so weak. He knows he's going to get eliminated. I'm like, dude has a fractured sternum.
It's a fractured sternum.
I was like, what do you, anyone and in the right mind would prioritize their health over.
It probably hurts to breathe right now.
Yeah.
Not consider playing elite hockey in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah. Like an elimination game. Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe I could bet you he wanted to play.
Yes.
But if you're looking at it from a team sport, he has to evaluate, is me playing at whatever capacity am I able to with a fractured sternum really better than whoever's going to replace me in the lineup?
No.
Playing at 100%,
yeah.
right?
No, you have to be Wayne Gretzky himself in his prime to basically play through that long and kind of have an effect on the ice that, would negate whoever else is going to replace you in the lineup. It's just not, come on, man. I don't know. I didn't like the response from NHL fans about that, so.
No, man. If he's hurt, he's got the rest of his career to think about.
Forget the career; he has the rest of his life.
Rest of his life to think about. And look at the other side of Vegas. We saw Jack Eichel do the same thing.
Yep,
sat out a season, was a season and a half, almost.
Something like that. Yeah,
long time to get the right surgery for his neck.
Now he's a cup champion.
Now he's a cup champion, and he still has the rest of his life ahead of him.
Yes,
with the mobile neck.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean. Back to what I was saying about, the two components. Never at any point in this series did Florida have the two magic components at the same time.
Yeah.
They either had Matt Tkachuk making magic moments or they had Bobrovsky playing well.
Yeah.
And by the time we got to game 5, you could see it. Bobrovsky was just tired.
Yeah.
And he was carrying that team, that defense. There was cross creases where you saw him making it in period 1, and then by period 2, he couldn't get across fast enough.
Yeah.
He was just dead.
Yeah, this is kind of what I also meant by the finals magic kind of dried up. Mm-hmm. We've seen it with teams that have not gone to the finals in a long time. And it happens. It's part of the game. It's unfortunate that it happened at this time, but in the NHL playoffs, luck and timing is unfortunately a very key component in actually winning a cup. There's been so many teams where they've had all the right pieces, they've had everything, and things didn't line up in their favor, and it just screwed them.
Yeah.
That unfortunately happened to Florida in the finals.
Yeah, I think hockey has a large portion of things have to kind of work out for you. It's very much you both have to be prepared to take opportunities when they come, and you have to get those opportunities.
Yes,
there's two things, right?
Yes.
So when people say, oh, it's luck, it's not that the championship, in whatever year, Vegas this year, Tampa and all those years, Colorado last year, it's not that they just got lucky. It's that they were prepared to take the opportunity when it was presented to them.
Yep.
And that is how you win hockey games.
Yep. That's how you win life in general, too.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If, let's say, an artist, all of a sudden blows up overnight, but they didn't have they didn't have the work ethic. They didn't have a catalog ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be a one-hit wonder and disappear. They better capitalize on that. Otherwise, their career is done as soon as it blew up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's no different in the NHL playoffs. So, yeah, you really got to be prepared.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of Mark Stone final Game 5 performance? I just thought that was magical. That hat trick.
Dude, I mean, any Vegas fan that paid for those tickets got the game of their lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They watched, one, a hat trick, two, a 9 goal game, and 3, they watched their team win the very first cup in franchise history on home. I mean, dude, come on.
Like, even if Vegas wins more cups, is it ever going to get better than that?
No, I doubt it. And they set that record, the most amount of goals in a cup clinching game.
Yeah, and I think they set the record for fastest expansion team to a cup.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I mean, in a way, this reminds me of the Kings in 2014, in that I think it was double overtime, cup clinching goal, Alec Martinez against Lundqvist. I mean, besides that moment, I think this has got to be like the best home fan moment of the NHL playoffs that you could ever experience. So, yeah. And I can't remember the last time when a home team won the cup. Maybe one of the years in Tampa. Maybe in Montreal or against Montreal.
It's been on the road recently, hasn't it?
A lot, yeah.
And what better city to win a cup in than Vegas? All the partying's right there.
I haven't watched any of those videos, and I don't think I want to.
Yeah. I mean, I think matching what the Capitals did is going to be tough. But
No. Summer of Ovi is unbeatable.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever topping that.
So let me ask you this question.
Sure.
We see this a lot in the NHL. A team wins a championship. Other teams try to copy their formula for success. So, what does Vegas winning this championship mean for the rest of the NHL?
I don't know if it means anything. I mean, because Vegas won. They made the finals, in their inaugural year off of let's be honest, scraps.
Yeah,
a lot of this,
a team that nobody predicted would do anything.
Well. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, this team was going to be at the bottom of the gutter." I never understood that. I was like, I think they have a chance to make the playoffs, but nobody predicted them to go to the finals.
If you can go back and look at like athletic articles or ESPN articles, nobody had the Vegas doing anything.
Yeah, nothing of damage. It's almost like how Seattle, like everyone thought Seattle was just done after maybe one game.
Yeah, they all expected what Seattle's first season was, right?
Essentially, yeah.
They were a fun team to watch, but didn't win very much.
Yeah, no, Vegas was a cup caliber team. Has always been a cup caliber team. But the reason I say this is Vegas has gotten, I think, a lot of like very good blend of everything they need. They have they have the big physical presence that we talked about last podcast. They had, Eichel, the big guy, showing up when he needed to. He wasn't a disappearing act. Great leadership and veteran presence from Mark Stone. I think they had everything. And I think if there's anything you can take away from this as a GM, you don't overpay for certain aspects. You need a blend of everything. That is the only way you're really going to, and obviously, having a phenomenal goalie show up in the when he did is great too. But
why do you say don't overpay? Some would argue $10 million is overpay for Jack Eichel.
Is it though? Look at that performance he put up. If Jack Eichel's not on that roster, I think it's way harder for.
Oh yeah, obviously that's the top line center.
Yeah, exactly.
Any team missing their top line center is going to have a harder time.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? So I think the money was well spent, and I think they paid him $10 million because of his potential. Mm-hmm. I think
also he signed that contract in Buffalo. So yeah.
So even then, whether that's better for his pockets or whatever, that's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I personally feel that the, let's say, McDavid contract, the most of the Toronto contract, I'd even go as far as to say the Nathan McKinnon contract are a little bit, they overcompensated because they wanted, there's hype around him. They didn't want him to leave. They really wanted to keep him homegrown and stuff.
Yeah.
And even with the McKinnon contract, they knew he was underpaid for way too long, and they brought him a cup, and they were like, all right, let's just keep him around kind of thing.
He had a bad or a mediocre contract year and then signed a long-term deal at a really steep discount. And instantly blew up.
Yeah.
The next season he was fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. And so stuff like that is there's rare cases where players have truly, in my opinion, earned that contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jack Eichel did. And another example of a big contract that the player truly earned, Carey Price.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's also getting paid $10 million.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people doubted Sergei Bobrovsky before this year, at least this playoffs. I think he's definitely earned that contract now.
Yeah, but they doubted him reasonably. He didn't have a great regular season.
Right, yes. Yeah. So, I think the reason I say this is, yes, there's certain players you're going to have to spend big money on.
Mm-hmm.
but you really have to like have the hard conversation with yourself as a GM. Am I paying it because it's worth it? Or am I paying it because I don't want him to go somewhere else?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like Toronto and a lot of other teams have handed out these huge contracts. I could even say that for Erik Karlsson.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They paid so that he wouldn't go to another team to terrorize us in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's what really happened. Eichel was paid because he's really worth $10 million.
All right. I agree with that. And I have a couple points that I want to make that I think is relevant for the rest of the league. I think Vegas winning this cup could be a turning point in the NHL. And where's the camera? I never want to hear the words hometown discount ever again. Vegas just proved it. What you just said. If the player is worth it, pay the player. And they have proven again and again that paying the player is not what gets you in trouble with the salary cap with your team management. What gets you in trouble is a no movement clause. So after Vegas won the cup last night, I took a look at their cap friendly page.
Yes.
They have 3 players on no movement clauses. I'm only looking at skaters. I didn't look at the goalies. I have 3 players on no movement clauses. Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, Alex Pietrangelo. Jack Eichel and Mark Stone did not sign in Vegas. They were trades. So the only player Vegas has signed to a no movement clause is Alex Pietrangelo.
So Mark Stone and Jack Eichel, they waived their
no movement clauses to come to Vegas.
Got it. Okay.
Right? So Vegas has shown that you pay the players what they're worth, and they will ship you out the door when it's no longer worth it. Yes. And the reason they can do that is because they don't give them no movement clauses.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how much you pay them, because as long as that clause isn't there, you always have an option. You get a third team involved to retain salary. You package picks with them. They did whatever. They paid 3 picks for Tatar one year to play on the 4th line.
Yeah, that really hurt them.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they have shown as long as you don't contractually put yourself into a corner, there's a way out of there. You overpay players to get them to come to your city. And as long as you build a competitive team right now, nothing else matters.
Yes.
Right? Send picks out the door. Send prospects out the door. Nick Suzuki was a Vegas Golden Knight.
Yeah.
Shipped him out the door.
I mean, he came back to terrorize them, but yes.
Yeah, but did they win a cup?
No.
Nick Suzuki doesn't have a cup, does he?
Montreal did not win the cup, yes.
And they do it every year. And they shipped out Fleury, and yeah, sure, fans might hate you for shipping out players. You know what fans like?
Winning. Yes.
Winning solves everything.
Yeah. Nobody's going to think about, oh, I'm so upset that you got rid of Fleury. I'm like, yeah, but you have a cup to your franchise.
Yeah, if you ask any fan right now, you win a Stanley Cup or still have Fleury on your team.
I would trade anyone in the history of any roster for a cup. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like,
if you told me in the middle of the Sharks' dominance from like mid 2000s to like mid 2010s, right, was kind of their big time period. If you told me in the middle of that, if you trade Joe Thornton right now, you'll win a cup, I don't care. Yeah. Trade Joe Thornton.
Trade Thornton, Marleau, and Pavelski.
Trade all of them. If you tell
for
me
4th liners, and
if you're telling me
we'll
get a cup, right?
Absolutely making that deal.
Of course, the magic is you never know if you're going to get the cup, right?
Of course.
But that's the thing is don't sign them to no movement clauses.
Yeah. If you want to win as a team, you need to build a business, I think. And
what other team in the league right now has a core that doesn't have no movement clauses?
Couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
They could trade Jonathan Marchessault tomorrow. They're Conn Smythe winner if they wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That amount of flexibility is insane, right?
Yeah.
And people will say, yeah, but if you give them too much money, nobody's going to want them. But the salary cap isn't real, guys.
Yes. Yeah.
Take advantage of the LTIR rule.
Yeah.
Have a team retain so that you're sending them at a super discount to whatever team wants them. And as long as there's teams that are rebuilding or in smaller markets, which for the foreseeable future there will be, because the NHL apparently is terrible at building teams that aren't Vegas or Seattle, then there will be teams that need to get to the cap floor.
Yeah.
Get them to retain. Flexibility is the biggest asset. Vegas has just proven that. And if other GMs follow it, I think this could be a turning point for the NHL, where we see more player movement, bigger player salaries, and more excitement for fans.
Yeah. One thing, I completely agree with you. The only part I disagree is I don't think it's a hometown discount. I think it's the overpayment for loyalty.
Yeah.
That might be the issue. Because the hometown discount means like,
Yeah,
I'm going to sign here for cheap.
Yeah, so
right?
the thing is, players will do that, right? They'll take less money, but say, give me a no movement clause, because then I can say, okay, my family's here for 7 years, 8 years, right?
Yeah.
Don't do it. I don't want to hear it. Overpay them, but don't give them a no movement clause.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, perfect example. Again, not to keep going back to San Jose, but look at all these bad contracts that the Sharks cannot even execute on a rebuild because of how many bad contracts they can't get out of.
Yeah. Two notorious examples, Erik Karlsson and Mark-Edward Vlasic. Karlsson is paid 11.5. Vlasic is paid, I think, 7.
I think, yeah.
Something in that ballpark, right? Both have no movement clauses, which is the biggest problem.
Yeah. Erik Karlsson finally proved he had 1 year finally where he played at his level. Yes.
If I told you, you would have to pay $13 million for Erik Karlsson, but you could trade him whenever you wanted.
Yeah, I'd take that deal.
Yeah.
I would retain some of it, sure, but
you'd retain some of it, you get a third team involved, ship them a few picks, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
Right? And picks past the first round are pretty much meaningless anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you hit on one of those, you got lucky. I don't care what any team's drafting record says. You got lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vegas has proved it. The biggest asset GMs need is flexibility.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you're a GM at this point, as much as people hate you, could hate you for trading away fan favorites, loyalty is overrated, maybe.
Yeah, and we see this in the NBA all the time.
Yeah.
Big names move. Big contracts move. Granted, the NBA...
It also provides a lot of buzz, but that's a whole marketing thing.
Yeah, but isn't that great?
That's great, yeah.
I know people who follow the NBA and don't watch a single game.
Mm-hmm.
They just look for the drama.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I really have an NBA team I follow. I just follow certain players.
Yeah, because they are storylines, right?
Yeah.
Like when Toronto won the championship, everyone followed what Kawhi did for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, even the players were doing it. Yeah.
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 This could be very, very exciting for the NHL.
Assuming they realize this in the first place, or unless you're like...
Okay, but if I, a dumbass of the podcast, realize this, someone who works in hockey has to,
You're
right?
talking about the same GMs that had they went into a meeting and they were like, we don't see anything wrong with the league. We don't need to change it.
True. True.
You know what I mean? Like
at least publicly they said we don't need to change anything.
Complacency is a big problem. And the thing is, a lot of these... it's funny that we're talking about this because I recently watched a podcast. This is NBA related with... DeMar DeRozan of the Chicago Bulls and Paul George of the LA Clippers. And they were just kind of riffing on how a lot of players, a lot of like faculty, I guess, in the NBA, they love the NBA lifestyle, but they hate putting in the work. And they put in the work for a contract year, get this huge contract, and then just basically never try again, or they live off sponsorships. And they love this lifestyle that comes with the NBA. They don't want to work with it. And so
they just like being rich and famous.
Yes, but you don't think that's happening in the NHL too?
Oh no, it's happening all the time. Yeah. We see it all the time. Players pull a magic year out of their ass, their contract year, sign a big deal, and then go back to usual self.
Yeah. I feel like that's also happening amongst GMs, coaches, whatever too.
Yeah.
So.
But further to my point, don't give them a no movement clause.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing, right? Stop giving them new movement clauses.
Yep. Stop being loyal to your employees, as unethical as it sounds. That might be a good bit to cut up because I mean that's a controversial point, but it totally makes sense. So
yeah, I mean, and it's not like don't be good to your employees, right?
Yeah.
Like while they're there, treat them right. Pay them well. Make sure their facilities are met. Make it a nice place to play.
But they're not your family.
Your goal is to win, and if they're not helping you win, send them out the door.
Yeah.
And Vegas has just proved it.
Yeah.
Right? I know it sounds ruthless, but it sounds ruthless right now because we're used to this mindset of, but they set up roots here, they grew a family here. Every other sports league, players move around like nothing.
Not to mention in the real world, quote-unquote real world, people will fire you as soon as you're a line on a spreadsheet, and as soon as you don't make that company money anymore, you're gone.
Yeah. And the thing is, in professional sports, even if one team says you're gone, the league still has to honor your contract.
Yes.
You will still get paid that money, right? Even when a player gets bought out, they still get, I think it's like 70% of their money.
Yeah.
Which is insane. And then if they sign a new deal on top of that for a discount, it's they can make up the difference, right?
Yeah.
Like we're talking in the scale of millions here.
Yeah.
Right?
Like if you're managing this money properly, not spending it on dumb shit, like you could easily like convert this to generational wealth.
Fans in the NHL are begging to see more stars move.
Yes.
Star movement is what generates buzz and interest in your league.
Yep.
LeBron jumping around teams for the NBA created so much hype and interest, right?
Yeah.
and this might be thinking a little too far ahead, but if you reduce the max contract length, of course the players would have to agree to that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I know. I completely agree.
Vegas winning is a chance for the NHL to become really, really exciting, and I hope they take it.
Yeah. Mic drop. I really don't have anything else to add to it other than I really hope other GMs are realizing this too. I would like to see that change. I would like to see more movement. I can't tell you the amount of times I tuned into an off season where basically nothing happened. Yeah. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen this year too.
Trade deadline day is the most overhyped thing in the NHL sometimes.
So? What? Because it's kind of exciting.
All the trades happen before the deadline day.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, you're totally right.
The actual day is people moving depth pieces and trading picks.
Mm-hmm. Was Patrick Kane traded on deadline day?
I don't think so.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right. Trade deadline day is a fraud.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd have to go back and check, but I don't think so.
Gotcha. Speaking of Patrick Kane, that's a good it's a good segue, actually.
Yeah. New York Rangers.
Yep. That's
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Speaking of both Patrick Kane, the Rangers, and absolutely zero loyalty, the Rangers hired Peter Laviolette and Gerard Gallant kicked out of the door 2 seasons, which is honestly, I didn't even know this happened until minutes before recording this podcast. Wow. I won, first of all.
Two seasons, one in which he reached the conference final.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm so shocked. I was like, are you kidding me? They gave one a coach after 2 seasons? And whatever happened this year, yeah, they went all in. They bought all these like big pieces. But that clearly they didn't study Toronto's method. You can't load up on offense and score 9 goals a game unless you're Vegas to win a cup.
But Vegas can also defend.
Yeah, and hit and save pucks and do a bunch of other things.
I mean, their defense kind of boiled down to Shesterkin. Right?
Yeah, I really don't know how you put the Rangers past 2 years of failure on Gallant at all. And the fact that they switched so quickly is, I'm not even sure if I have any legitimate thoughts other than I'm shocked. I'm still kind of processing this. What do you think about this?
Is Gallant a good coach, do you think? Because I think the biggest problem people have is the way they lost against New Jersey, where they won the first 2 games. Jersey adjusted their game plan, and then Gallant just kept trying the same thing over and over again and lost 4 games in a row.
Peter DeBoer.
Yeah, it's kind of like Peter DeBoer, though. He keeps getting hired for some reason.
Yeah. Well, he gets your team far, but that's at most. Once.
He gets your team far once, and then gets out in the first round every other year.
Yeah.
So, Dallas, congrats on your first round exit next year.
Oh, God. You're probably right. But, yeah, I mean, I guess to answer your question, I think I need a little bit more of a track record. Sure, Gallant has not had a great track record. I'm not sure if he's ever won a cup.
He has not, but he's gotten to the finals with Vegas, and he's had some really good regular seasons in Florida and in Vegas, and now New York. Mm-hmm. He's had some really great regular seasons.
Yeah, but never won a cup. So, no. Yeah, maybe he was an overhyped coach. Maybe he was overrated. For me personally, I think this is kind of like, again, I know we just riffed on, if someone's not serving you, remove them. But 2 seasons seems awfully quick. Like not even a full third. After the 3rd season, fine, sure. If it was a failure, I totally understand. But 2 seasons, I don't know if you can understand anything after 2 seasons, really.
Yeah, so unless there's something we don't know, like players in the room are saying they don't want Gallant or something like that, then maybe.
Are the Rangers trying to retain like Patrick Kane, Tarasenko, all these players?
I don't know, actually. I don't think any news has kind of come out on that yet.
Gotcha. I was like, yeah, if they're trying to preserve all these like acquisitions they made, but then sure, their word matters more. But again, they're going to overpay for loyalty, make sure they don't go somewhere else kind of thing. It's going to screw them anyways. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think Gallant is as valued of a coach as other teams make it seem.
Yeah, and I think people just have kind of less tolerance these days for seeing the same mistakes over and over again, right?
Which they should, I think.
Yeah, but that's kind of what Gallant did in New Jersey, right? There was just when we covered that series, we were talking about that was our psychological warfare episode.
Yeah. And
Gallant didn't respond to Lindy Ruff. And that is the one thing you want a coach to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So do you think the Rangers front office essentially had it not out for Gallant, but like, do you think they kind of noticed that early on? They were like, this guy's a fraud?
I think the Rangers know time is limited, and they don't for the Rangers window to win.
They were just bad. They just speed ran the rebuild.
Yeah, but I just pulled up their cap friendly here.
Mhm.
Their UFAs this year: Tarasenko, Tyler Mott, Patrick Kane, and Alexis Lafreniere is an RFA.
Yeah, but
yeah, a couple. Keandre Miller needs a new contract.
I don't think they're going to re-sign him.
Shesterkin only has 2 years left on their contract.
Yeah, that's not great.
So, you know,
Shesterkin's going to get a huge pay raise too.
Panarin only has 3 years left on their contract.
Really? I thought he signed an 8 year.
Yeah, but that's done in 25-26.
Wow, time flies.
Yeah, again, a whole bunch of new movement clauses here. Their players that are signed long term are Mika Zibanejad and Vinny Trocheck.
Oh, wow.
Everybody else is on up till 26-27. They have a bunch of players.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy VC is up in 2 years.
Wow.
So they've got basically
that window's a lot smaller than I realized.
They've got about a 2 to 3 years left.
Mm.
And I guess they didn't want to give Gallant another shot here because it's not just what he did with the Rangers, right? You have to see what he did with Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So much good success that always kind of fell short.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year of Vegas, how long was he in Vegas? Was it like 3 years before they replaced with DeBoer?
Yeah, I think so. 3 years.
Yeah.
So and Peter Laviolette, I think he won with the Caps, right, in 2018?
No, that was Barry Trotz. He won with Carolina in.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay, so he does at least have a cup to his name.
Mm-hmm. And he is the winningest U.S. coach in history.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. I went into this headline kind of not doubtful, but like shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's starting to make sense a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, I think Rangers are just trying to try something.
Yeah.
You know,
but do you think? I mean, is this whole Hail Mary throwing shit at the wall, see what sticks method really going to work? Because I don't know. I feel part of the reason I feel Vegas won is a lot of calculated chaos. Yeah. Assets being swapped in and out really quick.
Vegas is one of the teams that is also the biggest on analytics. So they made their moves purposefully.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just making moves for the sake of moves. You're right.
Yeah.
You have to be sure about the moves you're making.
Yes.
But yeah, Laviolette, I'm not sure. Right?
Yeah.
In many ways, this seems like, okay, the last cup you won was in 06.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, who's a better coach that's available?
I mean, you could find someone else. Why do we have to recycle the same, 32 coaches?
That's the risk the New York Rangers, who have a short window, don't want to take, right?
Yeah. I guess they did do that because they're the first ones who brought David Quinn in. Yeah. And he was terrible for them.
Yeah, and he's been okay in San Jose, but then again, San Jose's not trying for anything right now.
Yeah, it's really hard to gauge Quinn's
like this is different than Columbus hiring Mike Babcock, right?
Yes.
Columbus is bottom of the barrel right now. You're not going to win next year.
That's true. Yeah, that was a Hail Mary.
That's an absolute Hail Mary, right? You could have brought in someone from the minors or college.
Yeah.
New York with a 2 to 3 year window? Maybe not.
Yeah. Do you think at the end of this 2 to 3 year window, this is going to be like the downfall of the Rangers? Like, are they just done for a while?
I think they have a chance to retool it in that 2 to 3 years, but they got to move quick. You know, you got to get Shesterkin signed up long term. You got to see what Panarin's thinking. He'll be 33 at the end of his contract.
Yeah, it's not young.
Yeah. So are you going to sign him long term? You do have Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere playing in your depth. Are they going to turn out to be superstars?
They haven't developed at the rate that everyone thought they were.
Yeah.
But the Rangers themselves have not had huge success developing prospects into superstars, at least as of recently.
Yeah. So, you got to figure that kind of out. The only defenseman that signed past 25-26 is Adam Fox.
Oh, man.
Which Adam Fox long term at a 9.5 cap hit. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Just looking at that.
And he's like, what, 26 or something like that?
He is 25.
25. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. That is a very good deal, actually. Assuming, no injuries kind of hinder that.
Rangers are going to have to be active in the next couple seasons on their moves, So I think they have a chance to extend this window if you want. And the advantage of being the New York Rangers is you can attract free agents.
Yeah.
So they have a chance to keep that window open. But looking at it right now, you got about 2 to 3 years.
Damn. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think this hiring's starting to make a lot more sense now. Whether it be Peter Laviolette or any other coach, I think they really have to rely on they had to go for a reliability in general. And yeah, I guess with the track record Gallant has proven or provided in the past couple of years, it's not looking too hot.
Yeah, and if they go out again next year based on like an inability to change strategies or something, that's going to be really bad, right? They got to do something.
Yeah,
I think.
So you think Peter Lavallier's out the door at that point, or
no? I think it's if they had kept Gallant, they would have felt worse.
Oh, got it. Okay.
You know, it's Gallant's not going to adjust anything. We got to adjust something, so we're going to fire Gallant. It's that. I think it's like that kind of mindset.
Got it. Do you think Gallant's like not going to get blacklisted from the NHL? But do you think like he's going to struggle to find a job now?
No.
You don't think so?
Because he has strong regular seasons. Teams that aren't good in the regular seasons.
But
because the first step to becoming a contending team is getting in the playoffs.
Okay, so he's a temporary coach. He's not a cup-winning coach.
He's a coach you'll hire if you want to move up the standings.
But I mean, I understand to an extent. Yes, you want to move up the standings. You want to sell some tickets, but you're trying to win a cup at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, but how are you going to win the cup if you can't even make the playoffs?
That's fair. Yeah.
And what is Gallant good at? Is taking players, young players, and developing them into consistent playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
He did it in Florida. He did it in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's not good at the final mile there, which is when you hire
he's
another
not a
coach.
closer. Yeah. Okay.
Not every coach is good at everything.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. Vegas really, honestly, going back to the Vegas thing real quick, I really am shocked that Boston let go of Bruce Cassidy and all of a sudden they had their worst season. And as soon as Vegas picked him up, I really didn't want to say it or think it, but I was like, we're in trouble.
Bruce Cassidy just proved why he's such a good coach.
Yes.
And there's a chance that Jim Montgomery in Boston is going to win the Jack Adams this year in a couple days at the awards.
That's going to be awkward. It's going to be real awkward, yeah. But I mean, hey, if I'm Bruce Cassidy, I got my name on the cup.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Montgomery has what? Like a Jack Adams? Okay, cool.
Do you take the Stanley Cup to Boston if you're Bruce Cassidy?
Yes, of course. Of course. Absolutely. I'm taking a picture in front of TD Garden with my Vegas jersey on in front of that. Kidding me? Like
just brutal.
Yeah, of course. Of course. If I still have the general manager's number, I'm going to text it directly to him too. Mm-hmm. Hope you're having a great summer, Hags. Yeah, no, of course I am. Absolutely.
All right, we're running up on time here, so it's kind of a long one.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
No, that was a great point about the Vegas strategy, as ruthless as it is. It's going to give me a lot to think about, not just this offseason, but in the next coming seasons. But yeah, pivoting onwards, I think we're going to have a lot of off-season content. I think the next major thing that's going to happen is probably the draft, I would imagine.
Yeah, NHL awards and NHL draft coming up in the next couple of weeks here. Yeah. So,
and then we got, hopefully, fingers crossed, a exciting
free agency.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, we got some big names moving. There's a lot to looking forward to. I'm sure the hockey season's over, but I feel like it's also just beginning. And I think there's a lot to look forward to. So, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yes, this podcast will be active through the off season. We're out every week. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, and Google. If you like to see our lovely faces, you can check us out on YouTube at Spud Network Podcast is the handle. Mm-hmm. You can check us out there. And if you could leave a comment, review, reply, or rating wherever you're listening to this, it really helps us out. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.